Thank you. Senator Cassidy.
Senator Braun.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member. I like these discussions because I come from the real world before I got here of how you actually try to fix these things. I remember the gentle memories of when our kids were raised. It just wasn't this complicated. We had plenty of local providers. Some of them I wondered how they made it through the day, with the pandemonium that seemed to be part of the process. Everything needs room for improvement. We're talking about putting more responsibility possibly on the shoulders of the federal government. One of the reasons I ran is because if you're good at finance and you know the numbers, you kind of look a little into the future, and I don't see a good business plan for this place to take on more responsibility. And I'm doing this as a problem solver, not really doing it in a political way. So Senator Sanders and I had discussions. I think he and I have been the loudest senators on reforming health care. That's a broken system that one side wants more government. We consider it maybe okay. It's not okay when it costs that much. Child care, because I visit all of our 92 counties, a lot has to do with workforce there. You want more people to come into the workforce, you're going to have child care. And it worked years ago, it's just not working now. So my thinking is, unless you come up with real solutions, they'll generally get to this forum, and then you're stuck with more top-down in a already kind of bloated system that doesn't really look warm and fuzzy in terms of the finance part of it in the long term. My question is, I'll start with Ms. Brzezinski. You've done something in a state. I think that's probably where a lot of the solutions are going to get done sustainably and paid for over time. Do you think this should be something that we consider here on top of whatever we've been doing that looks like we're getting into financial chaos, and I don't know what we've been knocking it out of the park on? You seem to have results. Mm-hmm. Can this be done in the bailiwick of states as opposed to trying to find solutions here? And where do you think it would be best done?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Senator Braun. I think the states can't do it without a significant federal investment. I think that's what we saw, and a federal investment that had the flexibility that we need.
And right there, that's
you
made a point there. Would you be willing to borrow the money from future generations to do it? Because back home and in businesses and anything else, you're finding out through the force of having to live within your means, the solutions that really work. Would you really want more here if we're borrowing the money to do it? Because that's what you'd be saying along with wanting the help.
Yeah, thank you, Senator Braun. Yes, absolutely. The benefits will pay off. The return on investment is clear. And in New Mexico, over 70% of the voters said, we want to have a constitutional right to early childhood education, overwhelmingly. I think nationwide is the same case. And we need to make that partnership between state and federal and local so that parents have the choice they need to go to work, invest in their children's future, and that will return to us in dividends that we can't even imagine.
So what that'll do is pile on to our $31 trillion in debt, and we're wrestling with this right now between two sides that I don't think are really taking it seriously. One side wants it $20 trillion out there in 10 years more. That heavy load of interest, I can tell you, is not going to be good for what you want or for the other things, Social Security and Medicare, long term. But I understand your opinion is that there wouldn't be the wherewithal. I do disagree with that.
We are losing, as Ms. Hogan said, $122 billion in lost revenue right now. So that is something that we need to think about when we make these
But anything
decisions.
We're trying to make up on lost revenue, we're borrowing the money to do it. Ms. Laren, where are you at on this issue? Clearly, people come here because they want money for things. If we were doing it responsibly, like you do everywhere else, it would be there. But you'd be making tough decisions of trading off what the best use of that money would be. Can states do this on their own? And what do you think, if they got to look here, are you willing to borrow the money to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think you raise an important point about states making decisions, and the current system, the CCDF program, does allow states a fair amount of flexibility in how they use the funds. And that's part of the reason that we don't know how all of the current spending is being spent, and we won't know that for a few years. And it's because different states are doing different things with that money. So I think that is important, having the flexibility at the state level. I'm sorry, I think I missed the other part.
Well,
of the question.
I think you made your point. I don't want to be gavelled by the chairman for going over my time, but I will put this out there. Unless all of us as citizens, all of us that want to solve problems, if we don't start doing some of that in ways that are resourceful and maybe from the bottom up, I do think we're going to run into issues of how we pay for it here over time. Food for thought. Thank you.